Hey everyone, talking about 5 mistakes that I made when I first got into fragrance, and just gonna jump right in. One, blind buys. I'm not trying to discourage other people from doing it. If it works for you, great. And I'll link in the description my video where I go more into detail about why I do not do blind buys myself anymore, and with a few exceptions on that. But yeah, that was a mistake for me that I made quite a few times when I first got into fragrance. And now I've just realized that, yeah, it's very much more on the rare side for something to truly be full bottle worthy for me. I say with like a bunch back here, but I mean, I've tried almost 5,000 scents at this point. So for there to only be about 30 something that are full bottle worthy for me is still saying a lot. Not everyone's that picky, but still, it's just, if there is a way that you can get a sample of it first, I wish that I could have gone back and not made so many mistakes doing blind buys that just did not work for me. Either were expensive mistakes or they were cheap mistakes, but then it was just a pain to try to resell the thing and all that kind of stuff. Next, thinking that I would either like something just because I like the notes in it, or that I would automatically dislike something because I usually don't like the notes in it. So for example, say I would see a fragrance and the notes would be like citrus, leather, smooth woods, just something where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I like all those notes, cool, I'm gonna love this. So much of it comes down to the style of the fragrance house, the perfumer, the quality of the ingredients used, the proportions of each ingredient in it. There's just so much more to it than that. And I used to think too, like, oh, people are just so snobby to think the expensive ones are better. It's got to be all about the notes. It's just what works. No, that for me at least, that's just not true at all. Not to say that there isn't oftentimes, really affordable ones that can still be really good, but it also isn't true that it's just about the notes and there's no difference in quality between the expensive or more affordable ones ever. And yeah, in terms of the disliking part, sometimes I would see stuff, it's like, oh, that has a patchouli note in it. No, yuck, I'm not gonna like it. But one, certain notes can smell so differently depending on the source, and again, depending on the proportions used. It could be like a tiny, tiny bit in the background that you might not notice. It could be a type that isn't the kind you actually hate after all. Like, I thought that I disliked sandalwood for a long time, and it turns out there's a kind that I do actually really, really like. So yeah, just because you see a notes list and it has all notes that you usually like, or it has like, a few notes in it that you usually dislike, does not guarantee anything about whether you're going to automatically like or dislike it. And by all means, it still makes sense to gravitate towards trying ones that look, more like you're going to like them, and not towards ones that look like you're going to dislike it. But not as a blanket rule, I would say. Like, that was a mistake for me to just completely try to follow that at first. 3, judging a fragrance only by the opening. So that was a big thing for me. It would always just be like, that's what I care about. And even, kind of contrasting that second one above, if I saw notes that I didn't like in the base, sometimes I would even be like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, I just care about that opening. And I still do care the most about the opening, in the sense of, I'm not one of those people, like I see some people say, of, oh, the opening stinks, but if you give it an hour, it's the most beautiful dry down. Like, great if that works for you, but no, I need to feel like angels singing from the first moment that I smell it. Maybe not that dramatic, but maybe. Like, I need to have a good opening. But now I realize too, yeah, it can't just have a good opening, and then if you really dislike the smell of what it turns into by the dry down, that's not going to work in most scenarios either. So I learned I can't just, smell it for the first 15 minutes and assume that, oh, I really like this scent, and I really needed to give it the full time to judge it. 4, only trying scents in the masculine category, or like marketed to men. And 1, stuff is so often mislabeled, and even just in terms of like the stereotype of what it smells like. There's plenty of stuff that is marketed as unisex that absolutely smells masculine or feminine, and there's stuff that's marketed as masculine that smells unisex. So yeah, it's, first of all, that's just no guarantee of what you're actually going to get. But second, I found that my taste, just as much, I love so many unisex ones, and my taste, I would say, is more like unisex and unisex leaning masculine. And I actually often don't really like the ones that are like super hardcore, like hyper masculine leaning. Like, those are like really aromatic, herbal, like those kind of ones are not really my thing. So for me, that was a mistake. And I don't know, I guess I just thought, I don't think I wasn't trying to be like macho or something, or like, insecure about it or anything like that. I think I just thought like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm a guy, that's the category that I want, or whatever. Especially because I knew, like, I I like feminine scents on other people, but it's not my type of thing to wear myself. So I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to wear. Now I just want to try everything to smell it. So I'll try as many feminine scents as I can get my hands on, whatever. But in terms of even if I wasn't just doing it for that and it was just about ones I knew I would like, yeah, I wish that I had just gone back from the beginning and tried more unisex ones. I would have found a lot of my favorites a lot sooner. And again, even if you really legitimately only like super masculine ones, if you avoid anything marketed or labeled as unisex, you're going to miss out on a lot of ones that legitimately do smell very masculine, especially within niche, because so often they just market everything as unisex. And that's not to say who should wear it. I always differentiate between saying masculine and for men or for women, unless I'm talking about the marketing. But yeah, just saying in terms of whatever your preference is, you don't need to stick to that category to get what you're looking for from the scent. 5, last, taking too much fragrance advice from hype YouTube reviewers. Hopefully that's not what anybody watching this considers me, and I don't think most people would if you watch many, because I'm constantly panning fragrances and critiquing ones that I don't like, and I'm certainly never lying about, anything to hype it up or whatever. But I would watch ones like, and this is not meant to criticize, because I still find these entertaining or whatever, people like this, chaos fragrances, gent scents, people like that, where it's like I have nothing against them at all. I think they're perfectly entertaining to watch. I would still be entertained watching them or whatever, but where there was just almost too much sort of, like these are the 10 scents you need for life, like always just encouraging, like everybody needs, these scents, these are great, oh, this is so good. And now I see, like, if someone's telling you what should be full bottle worthy for you, that's a red flag to me. Red flag, not like a red flag like they're gonna get you in a cult or whatever, but just like that maybe don't take too much stock in what they're saying in terms of like just watch it for entertainment, or maybe if the notes list looks good to you and it kind of you tend to like that fragrance house, then try it or something like that. But I got too caught up in thinking like, ooh, like every time I would see their excitement about something and they would talk about just like how everybody needs to own these ones, oh, these are so good. There's no such thing as something that's universally full bottle worthy for everyone. Just not the case. Everybody has different taste. So watch stuff to find out about good things. But for me, at least, yeah, that was a mistake that I made, was getting too kind of excited or buying stuff based on thinking I was going to love it just because somebody else did. So I try to avoid stuff now where anybody's automatically telling someone else, this is full bottle worthy for you. They should be talking about their own opinion and telling you about the scent, but not projecting, no pun intended, what you're going to think about it. So, yep, to recap, blind buys, only judging something by the notes list and automatically just thinking I'm going to love something. And that kind of goes in with blind buys, because that's a big reason people do blind buys, is if they think, oh, the notes list looks good, so I'm going to love it. Judging your fragrance only by the opening, only trying scents in my case, the masculine category, and then taking too much fragrance advice from like hyped up YouTube reviewers, especially because these ones have a profit motive most of the time. So yeah, curious what anybody else feels they wish they could go back and redo about getting into fragrance and mistakes you made, but these are the ones that come to mind for me.